Hi everyone, I'm George from DeLuca Tech. Welcome back to the channel. A little while ago we did an update on the power supply on this, so come on along and see how it went. Okay, today we're going to replace this bad boy. We're going to replace the power supply because it's with the recent upgrades that I've done to this system. I'm starting to think that there's a power issue because if I overclock, it becomes less stable than it was before I updated. In other words, when I updated, I could overclock and it was fine. Well, when I overclock, it becomes very unstable. So with this case, it has power supply bracket. So not only do I have to take these off, take those screws out as well. So I'm going to get a Phillips head screwdriver and I'll be back. I'm going to take this bracket off. Right. Always use the right size screwdriver for the screw, because that way you don't strip out the screw. Oop. And I'll grant this is a pretty new power supply, but it's also been in a system for a couple years now. So it went to this one because it's the most powerful power supply I own. You thought that was going to fall. Because this system, this power supply, has everything. It's not a module. Everything has to unplug and get routed back through. So, like this. Forward, run it back out. That be careful when you route things back out. You don't want to muck up the paint job. Case. Now. See the power CPU plug. It's always the most fun because you have to push on the there like goes. That'll be the most fun one to put back in. It usually is. Now, there's nothing else here that's going to draw power. So on this side, because the pump, that is the pump and the radiator is from there, and then the fan is from the motherboard. So now we got those, and we cable manage this, so we have to uncable manage it. Okay. Always want to make sure, pull everything out and through. Okay, and this is for the fans. Now, this is an extra SATA cable because they used to have 3 hard drives, but now we have 2 in there because one of them went bad, and I really, when I first built the system, I didn't know it was bad, so I plopped it in and found out, oh, it's bad. So always, just don't start tugging. When you start tugging, you don't know what you're tugging on, and it may cause you issues. So you have to make sure you route everything properly so that you're not going to scratch everything up. Or separate, pull pins out of sockets. And they generally just snap back in, but you never know, you may end up breaking something, and then what do? It's broken, and you have to fix it or replace it. Generally, there isn't too much you can fix. A lot of times you just end up replacing, and that's really not the best thing to have to do. So, not when you pay money. Now, this out carefully. Okay, pulled everything to one side, so I'm figuring out, okay, that's the way everything goes. This is not a modular power supply. EVGA 600 watt. I thought it was 650. It's 600. That maybe explains why I've been having the problem with the memory that I've been having. Now, EVGA 850 BQ. Barbecue. It's the barbecue edition. Alright. So now, up. Now, nice little tab there. So, this is modular, so we have the owner's manual, our cables, and the power supply, and more cables. Okay. Yep. And a very beefy, much beefier power cable. So I'll probably be using that instead of just the regular old cable I've been using. Now this one is modular, but it still has the motherboard cable already plugged into it, which makes sense. You're going to need that. It's not optional. That, and it also has the PCI plugs, because again, that's something that's not optional. So you're going to use that. So we have the motherboard. This uses the 24 pins. That's 20, the 20 plus 4. These are the PCIEs, which is, you have 1, that's PCIe, and then that's the 8 plus 6. And this is the CPU, which is 8. So those are things you're going to use. So they just have it already as being part of the power supply, which makes sense. It comes with a jumper. So if you want to test it, this system's already working. I know it works, so I don't need to jump it. But that's a nice little thing to have. It's cool if you're doing if your build and you want to bench test before you want to test it before you get it all back together. So we need SATA power, we need two things, SATA power, or Molex, which don't believe I'm going to need. Well, I take that back. I'm going to need one because I need 2 SATA power, and I'm going to need 1 Molex. That's again this regular old 4-pin because of the fan. And now, that's everything we're going to need. So let's get to putting this together. So this goes into SATA 1. This goes into SATA 2. And then the Molex for the fans, that goes into peripheral. Okay. And because I have easy access to this, so we're good. Now what we need to do, put our bracket onto the power supply. So that's the I always start my screws by hand. Usually start my screws by hand because that way you're less likely to strip them versus when you just put them in and start wrenching them. So that there. This one here. And yeah, I know, probably shouldn't put your arm in front of the camera, man. But I only do so much. There. And last bracket. Oops, I guess if I'm looking at what I'm doing. Okay, now you should always want to get the right screw head for the right screw, because you don't want to strip out your screws, and you can do that very easily. The wrong flathead when you're using the wrong now I'm gonna vent this down, because this case, the case comes with a filter for the bottom. So now it's going to filter out our air that's coming into the power supply. Always do is take my brackets, keep them in the case, because where else am I going to use them but inside the case? So keep them inside the case. It has plenty of room on the bottom, so has plenty of room on the bottom to keep those just right at the bottom of the case. It's not going to ground out or short out anything, so I just keep them in there. Okay. Now so let's clean that up. Okay, this one. Now this case was refurbished. That's why some of these screws just come right out of their hole. So I suspect whoever bought this kind of did that, but that's okay. All right, now 850 one and down. Now we start our cables. Start with everything one side. I'm going to keep these cables in here. And I know I'm not using one, but still, this way when I am ready for it, it's there. I don't have to, it's not hurting anything being in here. It's not like I'm going to be using it for something else, so it can sit in there. Now, start from the top, work our way down. So, I don't have VR, so that's what this is. That's what this is for. Is for VR. It goes to the goes through the graphics card. So we're going to start with CPU because it's the biggest, and got that bad boy there. In through there. Now through here. Okay. Now next the PCIe. there, there, through there. Now this should be CPU. What's nice is they're labeled, so we're going to rot this up through here and out through there. This I am going to go ahead and what's nice is when you get these extra long wire ties, usually have places in the case that you can cable management them to the case. Now, okay, it's overkill. Well, guess what? I can pull this through there.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I realize it's probably not the most exciting thing, replacing a power supply. It's probably something people do a little bit more commonly. But I hope this helps you out in how to take everything down and put everything back in. And check out the next video where we're going to be reassembling what is the system that runs the house. Like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Use the Amazon affiliate list in the link in the description. And see you next time.